In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on January 29, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Milwaukee Bucks versus Washington Wizards. The Milwaukee Bucks head into Capital One Arena to face the Washington Wizards on Thursday night. It looks like one of those games where reputation says one thing, but recent form whispers something very different. The Bucks are coming off losses to the 76ers and the Nuggets, and they have the Celtics waiting next on the schedule. They have dropped 7 of their last 9 games, and that sort of run starts to wear on confidence, no matter how talented the roster is. The Wizards just lost to the Hornets, then bounced back with a win over the Trail Blazers, and they see the Lakers next. Even with that small bright spot, they have lost 38 of their last 51 games, which says plenty about their season as a whole. In terms of bodies, the Bucks are still missing Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Porter Jr. The Wizards have ruled out Tristan Vukcevic, Trae Young, Marvin Bagley III, and Cam Whitmore, with Alex Sarr listed as questionable. That possible absence for Sarr matters a bit more now, since he is coming off his best game of the season, and that kind of performance usually gives a young player some juice. The Bucks have been dealing with swirling trade rumors all season, and their recent slump really is not doing much to calm the noise around Antetokounmpo's future. Honestly, that kind of talk hanging over everything can make a team feel a little unsettled, even if everyone pretends they are tuning it out. Still, even without Giannis, the Bucks have more than enough scoring and experience to win a matchup like this, especially if the Wizards end up missing Sarr. The problem is simple. The Wizards were ice cold before that win on Tuesday, so they are hard to trust. But at the same time, the Bucks are a mess right now, which makes it tough to just lean on the name on the jersey and feel good about it. On paper, Milwaukee should win this game, no question. Yet they have been bad this season, especially on the road where they are 9-15 straight up. That is not the profile of a reliable favorite. It is also tough to get excited about backing the Bucks in the favorite role when they are missing Antetokounmpo and dealing with growing trade chatter that only adds more distraction. The Wizards, for all their issues, have covered 4 of their last 5 games. 7 of their 11 wins have come at home, which at least shows they are more comfortable in their own building. They also beat the Bucks twice last month as double-digit underdogs, which is not something you see every week. It would not surprise anyone who has watched these 2 lately if the Wizards manage to win this game outright again. So taking the points with Washington makes a lot of sense in a spot where the supposed favorite looks anything but steady. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington Wizards to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Milwaukee Bucks are averaging 111.9 points on 48.1% shooting and allowing 115.5 points on 46.7% shooting. They are hitting 39.2% from beyond the arc and 73.4% from the free throw line. On defense, they are allowing opponents to shoot 36.6% from three-point range, and they are grabbing 40.6 rebounds per game. The Washington Wizards are averaging 112.3 points on 45.9% shooting and allowing 123.1 points on 47.6% shooting. They are knocking down 35.4% of their threes and shooting 77.1% from the free throw line. They are allowing 36.3% shooting from deep and pulling in 43.7 rebounds per game. So you have 2 teams that both give up a lot of points, especially Washington, but neither offense is exactly steamrolling the league when you look at those scoring averages. The Bucks are sitting in that 111 range, and the Wizards are just a tick above that, which is more solid than explosive. The outside shooting is good on both sides, but not unstoppable, and the free throw numbers are respectable rather than elite. That kind of profile often leads to games where the scoring comes in waves, then cools off for stretches, instead of staying red hot from start to finish. With the Bucks missing their main star and the Wizards dealing with their own absences and possible questions around Sarr, there is also a real chance that both offenses stall at times. Games like that can still feel active, but the final total can sneak in lower than people expect if a couple of key scorers are out or off their rhythm. Given the shooting splits, the points allowed, and the current personnel concerns on both sides, this sets up more as a contest where the total is likely to come in under a lofty projection rather than pushing into a full-blown shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Sacramento Kings versus Philadelphia 76ers. The Sacramento Kings and Philadelphia 76ers match up on Thursday at Xfinity Mobile Arena, and it has all the feel of two teams heading in very different directions. The Kings are coming off losses to the Pistons and Knicks, and they have the Celtics waiting next, which is not exactly a soft landing spot when you are already sliding. They have dropped 6 straight games, and that kind of skid can weigh on a locker room, even if the talent is there. On top of that, the Kings are still without Keegan Murray, which already trims their margin for error. They are also monitoring Russell Westbrook and Malik Monk, both listed as questionable, and that kind of uncertainty makes game planning a little murky. If Westbrook sits, that is a big hit for a group that is already struggling to find rhythm and energy. The 76ers, meanwhile, are in a more mixed but slightly positive spot. They lost to the Hornets, then bounced back with a strong win over the Bucks, and they see the Pelicans next. They have taken 9 of their last 16, so it is not dominant, but it is solid enough to suggest they are stabilizing. Philadelphia is also waiting on Quentin Grimes, who is questionable with an ankle issue. That matters for depth, but it does not swing the core identity of this team the way Westbrook's status could for Sacramento. The key piece is that the 76ers look like they are trending up, with George and Embiid starting to string together more consistent performances. That win over the Bucks did not just look good on the scoreboard, it backed up the sense that this group is settling into a better groove at home. So even though the line was always likely to be on the heavier side for this matchup, the current form and health angles still tilt things toward a comfortable showing from Philadelphia on their home floor. The Kings are cold, possibly short-handed, and staring at another tough opponent next, while the 76ers have star-level play rounding into shape and a crowd that feeds off those surges. As our first pick for this matchup, the Philadelphia 76ers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full-game side pick. The Sacramento Kings are averaging 111 points on 46.8% shooting while allowing 121.2 points on 49.1% shooting. They are hitting 35.3% from 3 and 76.2% from the free throw line. They are also allowing opponents to shoot 35.3% from beyond the arc and grabbing 40.8 rebounds per game. The Philadelphia 76ers are averaging 116.7 points on 45.7% shooting and giving up 115.5 points on 46.4% shooting. From deep, they are at 35.4%, and they are very solid at the free throw line at 81.4%. Defensively, they are allowing 34.7% shooting from 3 and pulling in 44 rebounds per game. Put together, you have one team that is leaking a lot of points on the defensive end and another that scores well but does not completely lock things down either. On paper, those numbers can hint at a higher scoring game, but it is not quite that simple. The Kings are in poor form, possibly missing key pieces like Westbrook, and that can bog down their offense even if they normally score at a decent rate. The 76ers have the firepower to pile up points, but they may not need to turn this into a full track meet if the Kings are struggling to keep up. So while the averages suggest offense, the current context, including the Kings' slump and the possibility of reduced punch from their side, points more toward a game where the final total lands below what the market projects rather than climbing into a wild shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Miami Heat versus Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls welcome the Miami Heat to the United Center on Thursday night, and it sets up as one of those tricky spots where recent form and trust do not quite match up. Miami is coming in off a win over the Suns, a loss to the Magic, and they get the Bulls again next as the schedule loops them back around. They have split their last 10 games, which feels about right for a team that flashes quality one night and frustrates you the next. Chicago is on the other side of that rhythm. The Bulls are coming off losses to the Lakers and Pacers, with this Heat matchup up next on the slate. Even so, they have won 14 of their last 24 games, which quietly shows a group that has been playing better basketball over a longer stretch than people might think. On the injury front, the Heat are still without Tyler Herro and Davion Mitchell, which takes away some creation and guard depth. The Bulls have again ruled out Trey Jones, Emmanuel Miller, and Zach Collins, so their situation is more or less known and baked into what they have been lately. Miami had started to build a bit of momentum before that tough loss to the Magic last night, and despite that stumble, they are still relatively healthy for what their roster has become. They will feel pretty confident about this matchup because they absolutely hammered the Bulls 143-107 back on November 11, 2021, and players remember numbers like that, even if rosters change. The Bulls, though, are not the same version they were in that blowout. They have been much better since that last meeting, and honestly, they probably should have taken down the Pacers last night given how that game unfolded. So expectations naturally lean toward a much closer contest this time around, rather than another one-sided rerun. You can make a real case for either side here, which is what makes this one a bit annoying from a betting standpoint. This game feels like it means more to the Bulls, who were embarrassed in that previous matchup, and will want to show that was not a fair picture of who they are now. On paper, the Heat are still the better team and probably should be favored, especially with their ceiling when everything clicks. The problem is that trusting them on a nightly basis is a different story. They had the Magic right where they wanted them yesterday and then unraveled in the third quarter, which fits the pattern of a group that tilts between control and chaos. Miami has already lost 15 times on the road, so that inconsistency shows up whenever they pack a suitcase. Chicago, on the other hand, is at home, where they have already stacked 15 wins and tend to feed off the home crowd. On top of that, the underdog has covered 8 of the last 10 meetings between these teams, which keeps nudging you back toward the points. So even with Miami's talent edge, it is tough to fully trust the Heat and their inconsistent ways in this kind of spot. As our first pick for this matchup, the Miami Heat to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Miami Heat are averaging 119.3 points on 46.5% shooting while allowing 118.3 points on 46.2% shooting. They are hitting 36.7% from beyond the arc and 79% at the free throw line. On the other side of the ball, they are allowing 34.9% from deep and collecting 45.7 rebounds per game. The Chicago Bulls are right in that same offensive neighborhood. They are averaging 117.9 points on 47.6% shooting and giving up 119.7 points on 47.3% shooting. Chicago is knocking down 36.9% of their three-pointers and shooting 78.6% from the stripe. Defensively, they are allowing 36.6% shooting from beyond the arc and pulling in 45.2 rebounds per game. So you have two teams that both score efficiently and both give up plenty on the other end. Field goal percentages sit in the mid to high 40s, three-point numbers are solid, and neither side consistently runs opponents off the line. That combination usually points toward long stretches of trading buckets rather than grinded-out half-court rock fights. Miami's offense has been comfortable putting games into the 100 teens or higher, and Chicago's defensive numbers invite that kind of pace and scoring profile. At the same time, the Bulls are more than capable of responding on the other end, especially with their shooting splits and willingness to fire from deep. If either side goes on a run, the other has the shooting and volume to keep the scoreboard moving, which is exactly what you want for a higher total. Given how both teams project on offense and how leaky the defenses have been statistically, this shapes up as the type of game where the total has a very realistic chance to sail past the projected number rather than stall out early. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Rockets versus Atlanta Hawks. The Houston Rockets head into State Farm Arena to take on the Atlanta Hawks on Thursday, and it already feels like a spot where fatigue might quietly control more than the box score will show later on. Houston is coming off a stretch where they beat the Grizzlies, then fell to the Spurs, and now they see the Mavs next on the schedule. They have still taken 6 of their last 9 games, so the recent form is generally positive, even if that loss to San Antonio cooled things off a bit. Atlanta is riding a much cleaner wave right now. The Hawks just took care of the Pacers and the Celtics, and they face the Pacers again next. They have rattled off 4 straight wins, which is exactly the kind of mini run that can make a locker room feel like everything is finally starting to click. On the injury side, the Rockets have again ruled out Steven Adams, so they know they are going with the same front court mix they have been using. The Hawks are still without Kristaps Porzingis and Zachary Rysakar, so their rotation is also pretty settled, even if shorthanded in spots. That stability in who is actually available can matter when you are playing on tired legs. Houston looked like it was starting to really heat up before the Spurs stopped that momentum last night. You could say something very similar about Atlanta because 4 straight wins, including a victory over a red-hot Celtics team, is not something you just brush aside. Both teams are on the second night of a back-to-back, which usually tests how disciplined a group really is. On paper, the Rockets get the edge in talent, especially if you simply line up the top players on each roster. The problem is that Houston keeps living in that hit-or-miss space, and now they are back on the road, where 13 of their 17 losses have piled up. The Hawks, meanwhile, have quietly put together those 4 wins and just pulled off that upset in Boston, which is not exactly an easy place to steal a game. You can absolutely argue that Atlanta has played the better basketball over the last week, even if Houston's ceiling feels higher at its best. This spot also has a bit of a letdown flavor for the Rockets after that emotional matchup with the Spurs, whether they pulled it out or not. History between these two does not fully clear things up either, since the underdog has covered 5 of the last 8 meetings between the Hawks and Rockets. Altogether, you end up with a matchup where the talent edge leans one way, the recent form leans the other way, and the schedule spot plus road splits make it very reasonable to expect a tight margin rather than a runaway result. As our first pick for this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Houston Rockets are averaging 116.9 points on 47.9% shooting and allowing 110.8 points on 46.3% shooting. They are knocking down 36.9% of their three-point attempts and shooting 75.1% from the free throw line. On defense, the Rockets are allowing 34.9% shooting from deep and they are grabbing 47.9 rebounds per game, which is a strong presence on the glass. The Atlanta Hawks are averaging 117.5 points on 47.5% shooting and allowing 118.7 points on 47.7% shooting. They are hitting 37% from beyond the arc and 77.4% from the free throw line. Defensively, the Hawks are allowing 35.7% shooting from three-point range and pulling in 42.1 rebounds per game, which trails Houston on the boards and can quietly affect how many second chances they give up. So, if you just look at the averages, you see 2 offenses that can score at a healthy rate and 1 defense. In Atlanta's case, that tends to give plenty back. However, this particular spot is not played on fresh legs. Both teams are on a back-to-back, which often shaves a bit off shooting legs, slows transition opportunities, and leads to more short jumpers and tired drives, especially as the game wears on. Houston's defense has been sturdier than it sometimes gets credit for with those opponent numbers, and that can help tug the pace and efficiency down a notch in a tired setting. Atlanta's offense has firepower but has to work against that rebounding edge and some natural fatigue after its recent push and emotional win over Boston. All of that points more toward a game that, while still competitive and capable of good stretches of offense, is more likely to land under a lofty projected number than to explode into a pure scoring showcase from start to finish. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.